Hello. Hi Thomas. Hi not AN. Hi Onk. Not sure how to say that. Hi Vins. Hi Kitoxis. So today what we're gonna do is we're gonna test today because the website's broken, so we're gonna test, and we're gonna use a testing library that I made yesterday called Ion that just simplifies testing basically. So we're already using it here. This is what it looks like. So you can test async functions with this. It just saves like tens of thousands and thousands of lines of code. Well, if you have enough tests. So yeah, it's pretty good, I suppose. One test is failing. So that's what we're going to do this stream. We're just going to unit test the entire backend. So this is an async function here. So reject with channel not found. Oh. It was working earlier. I'm not sure why it isn't. Log is not defined. Okay, so I'm also refactoring these WebSocket functions. Thank you, Vince. So I'm gonna refactor this. So when we actually call an event, we can event.invoke. Hold on. So when we call an event, we get the instructions back. That's what I'm going to call it. Yeah. Instructions. Okay, for of, and then we type for of instructions. Instruction of instructions. So we're literally just gonna fix bugs in the app. That's many bugs. And we're going to use data-driven testing to do so. So, yeah. Okay, so we're going to type this.io.emit. Okay, we're gonna use this, and then so we're gonna emit that, and then instruction emit. We're gonna have yeah, we're gonna look at WS event. Okay. 2. And then we need the send as well. There we go. That's it. How did you create the error pop-up? Like, what did you use in order to create this? Notice stack. That's just a package. It's for React. It's just like a dialog package, and it can. I also use it for the save changes thing. The code, the API for it isn't that nice though, but still. It works. Okay. Don't know why this is being weird. Property invoker type default is not assignable to the same. Okay, so I haven't set up these types properly. So I'm refactoring this so it's much easier to test basically. That's why. Okay, so logger. Somewhere in email, we're not even using email. Email log is not defined. Okay, so we can import logger. We have to import these things. It's more of an integration test, really. But yeah. Oh, I think I can just type before in this. Console.log before. Okay, so that did actually call, which is good. Not sure why it's downloading MongoDB every time we run it. I didn't know there's a version 5 as well. I'm trying to... Okay, so... I probably messed up your badges. Oops. Skydive badges. Yeah, I did break. I did manually change some badges. And that may have caused the document to fail in validation. So sorry for that. Hopefully, yeah, I'll fix it after the stream. So what is going on here? So we're importing logger. And... yeah. Yeah, I think this is an integration test, by the way. But I'm just calling it unit. I think anything with async just counts as integration test. Yeah, it doesn't like that. Depths is not defined. Oh, okay. Should be. Logged error is not a function. Oh my days. What's going on here? I think we should have a mock depths, because that really shouldn't be happening. We shouldn't be logging into the server. It's not what we want. Okay, maybe after this, so mongoose.connect, we can run it in here. Maybe that'll be smarter. Okay. Well, I did spend an entire day setting the stream up. And it's been a bit strange. Why does it download MongoDB, like, at the start? Why are you doing that, mate? Okay, I'm gonna look into that, because that should not be... I think that's what's causing the problem here. So are we getting... If we type console.log Mongo the URI, echo test, so this should be a thing. Definitely. It might be a different port. Okay. See, that's online. Mongoose.on, is that a thing? Add event listener.listen. No. Const connection. I spend too much time on Accord. Okay. Mongoose. It is online. It's just been a bit strange. But is it connected to DB? So if I type mongoose.db, Mongo or something. Is that a thing? DB. Collection. Oh, mongoose.connection.database.collection. Okay, collection. Test. Const test equals that. Test. I'm just testing if it's actually online. Create. There's no create, is there? Is there? Where is the create? Update one. Replace. Replace what? Insert. Insert one. Okay, so we insert a document. It is working. Now, I don't know if the database is actually being connected to. That's the issue here. Oh. Okay, so what happened in the database? Let's see. npm test. It's not really working. Okay. It's always nighttime. It's like where I currently am. There's like 4 hours of daytime, and like the rest is just night. It's like living in the Arctic. Okay. So it's night. It's 4 p.m. and it's already dark, which is normal at this time of year, but it's a bit strange, really. It's like the day's already ended. Okay. I mean, it technically has, but winter is a weird month, I suppose. Okay, so what counts? Okay, so I'm confused about one thing. What counts as a unit test? What counts as an integration test? Modules are tested as a group. So test as a group. Unit is 1 unit. So a group is multiple units tested at once. That's my definition. that I think. So we're testing multiple units at once. We're not testing channels. We're testing everything in this function here. And this function, if we were testing just this function, the unit, then oh dear. I think in testing, some things are just impractical to unit test. So this would be impractical to unit test. But integration test, it would be very practical, because you'd have to mock so many things that it would be kind of ridiculous. So that's where integration testing comes in. So I'm just going to call this int. Because, yeah. Testing is usually bad, by the way. It's, well, not bad, it's usually like a pain. So what I've done is I've made this library. Now this library will become more relevant in a minute. But basically we've been using another library called Sazerac, which is just a name of some cocktail, but they just name the library after it. But yeah, so, and it's a really good library, and it's really underrated in my opinion. Because it introduces this concept called data-driven testing. Now, data-driven testing is basically you're focusing, the tests are written more with the data than the actual assertion, if that makes sense. So there's more data here than there is like expect. So it saves a lot of code. But it also assumes the code is very linear. So this is just a plain old unit test right here. Synchronous, doesn't take time, unit test. And it's with this library that I made, but I just replaced it today and it was based off Sazerac. Not sure if anyone's watching, but if they are, hopefully this is insightful. So if we were to rewrite this, I'm going to show you, if anyone's watching, I'm going to show you what the code looks like without this library, so you can appreciate why I made it in the first place. So we have this big method, WS cooldowns, this big class. Method, function are synonymous, by the way. So we have WS cooldowns. So this is a usual bog standard test, and basically what this library I made does is it takes the tests. It's fundamentally the same as this, but with less code. So expect not to throw, look at all these callback functions. It gets really messy. And in fact, we could start to refactor this right now, just so I can show you the difference. So we can change this, which is kind of garbage test code, because if you're making a huge project, I just couldn't really maintain it because there was way too many tests. There was 300 like in tests like this that were worse than this actually. These are short tests. I'll actually show you. Oh, hi Druv. I have a quick question. What's the best language that will be using Selenium WebDriver? Hold on. I'm not entirely sure what Selenium WebDriver is, but yeah. Oh yeah, live chat instead of top chat. Okay. Hi. Okay, people watching. That's good. So let's go to stream. Okay, don't go here. Okay, so I'm going to show you the old code. And it's not very nice. So it's in this repo. Integration, WS. Look at this. So many files of it. I think I spent like 2 to 3 weeks just making these tests, and then it ended up not being used. I'm not joking, by the way. mean, there's a bit of setup that goes into each of these, but yeah. Okay, so we're going to refactor this, and we're going to write it up here. Okay, so WS cooldowns. We do it like this. So it does save quite a lot of code in the end. So for each, we're gonna make a new one. We're gonna call it cooldowns. So new WS cooldowns. So the good thing with this class is it doesn't use any other dependency, and that means we can test it with much less pain. If it uses dependencies, you've got to, like, if you're unit testing, you've got to like prevent them dependencies from getting in the way, and that's quite difficult. So then it becomes an integration test where you have to make everything work so the test can run, and that's where we're at with the other tests, but don't want to print that. Okay. So before each test, that's what we do. Make a new cooldowns, and then test this for a function. So we're going to test handle. So how do we do that? Cooldowns.handle. And that is void, not asynchronous. Okay. Okay, there's a problem with this actually. Oh, I'm not using test, that's why. Import test. This is pretty sad, by the way, whatever I'm listening to. So, accord ion. Quite not happy. High voice list. Myers when see GitHub Lite. Yeah, I know. I have a different. I think it's if you use a different browser, it goes back to the Lite theme, so it's saved on the local storage or something. If I create too many servers, I can't see the user account settings. Okay, I'll look into that. Eventually, okay, but we're testing the backend for now. Okay, so we just want to assign it so it doesn't complain. Yeah. So given user ID. Now we can use generate snowflake for like a fake user ID. Okay, so to do guild ID. So eventually I'm gonna add like cooldowns for each guild. That's what I was trying to do. I'll just get rid of that for now. So event name, these are just global cooldowns. So that will be helpful for bots. If you got, let's say if you have a bot right now, it won't let you do too much at once. Because it will be throttled by this, so we're going to need that soon. In fact, let's add that now. That'll be good. Guild ID string. So let's handle user ID. I mean, technically we could have it in here, but no. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to use a before each for this, because it's better. Because we want to reset these every time we run a test. Otherwise, the tests will leak into other tests, and that's not good for unit tests. Okay, so with user ID event name, what's the event name? It can be anything really. So channel create. No, message create's usually the obvious one. And then guild ID is another guild ID. Cool. So we don't need to use them now. There we go. So we expect cooldowns dot active, or we can use an assertion here, because that doesn't return anything. So we can use assert. So it doesn't return anything, just void. So yeah. So now we just use try expect ws cooldowns active to include. To contain, we need the keys, have property, and then guild ID. Maybe that will work. And then the message is guild ID added, but we don't need a message for it to work. Oh, cool. See if that passes or not. I've broken the tests somehow. Hard to do that. Okay, so now with unit tests, this test file is for integration tests. So there's 3 different types of tests. Unit, testing one unit, i.e. one class function. These are not official definitions, just so it's testing one thing, not with dependencies. Mocks dependencies because they get in the way. Integration testing unit, full unit. So a unit is just what you're testing. So in this case we are testing cooldowns, which doesn't have any dependencies at all. it just imports this. That's it. Oh. It just imports a type. And then E to E is just... I'm going to show you what end-to-end testing is, just for fun. Go into front end. So end-to-end testing is probably pretty good. It's testing the final product. The app. So testing the entire app. I suppose that's end-to-end testing. So let's start the app. So now that's online, I can go into the front end, npm. So test E to E. It opens Cypress, which is an E to E runner. And this is specially designed for React. Not React, just websites. So it's different. You'd use a different end-to-end system depending on what you were testing. But yeah. Here we go. So we run them all. And this is what it does. This is an end-to-end test. So it's pretending to be a proper user. So it's like me manually testing the app. Oh, you just saw a bug we recently introduced. It still worked even though that there's a bug here. Yeah, that means I haven't properly done that, so I haven't refactored it properly, but it's manually testing without me having to manually test it. It's the same thing as me just going on the website and testing everything, but it's automated. User and guild image uploads don't work, they say rate limited. Image uploads are heavily rate limited because I don't have that much storage on the VPS, that's why. So let me check the so according to this, so you can upload before things go wrong. Yeah. So that's 10 images per 5 minutes, but if you want to log in, if you're logging in and things, it will be less. So that does mess things up a bit. What's happening here? Oh, we're just testing the app at the minute. Make a game. It'll take too long. Yeah. Making a game, a proper game takes years. Unless you're making like a 2D Pac-Man clone or something. There's a lot that goes into a game. More than what goes into a Discord clone, I'd say. More lines of code. Yeah, more complexity, not lines of code. Okay, so we can actually just add these in there if we wanted to. So in WebSocket, I'm not handling this properly. So user ID. So I'm actually going to remove guild ID. I know I just added it, but it will require so much setup, so much refactoring, because in WebSocket there's literally nowhere that stores the what guild ID they're using. Okay, so it has a map string, and that's the user ID. So guild ID, user ID added. Kind of makes sense. Yeah, we're not testing the front end today, so I was just showing you. Okay, 0 is passing. That's expected. So when we're unit testing, we actually should not manually throw this in. We're not going to throw that in. We're going to do this. So unit test. So test unit. Okay, I want to bulk rename everything. All these test files, I want to rename them. Yeah, so that shouldn't work, but we're going to add test.ts to this. Oh, this one. There we go. So these actually run now. This one doesn't work at the minute. Cannot read properties of undefined reading prune. Which means I may have done it wrong. Okay, that is a slight bug. We can fix that because we have access to the repository. So hold on. Code /ion. So I made a mess up. Ion. There we go. So this is the test framework. So what I'm doing here, what I've messed up, is the function is not binded properly. That's what I did wrong, but we can just do that for now until I find... Oh, okay, until I find a way to fix it. So we can also do get user ID to exist. Expected undefined. Okay, that's strange. So we add an event name. Oh, okay. Oh, we need the client ID. No, we'll just use user. We'll apply it for a cooldown for the whole user. So, if someone spams like 60 messages in a minute, we want the entire user, because they might have multiple browsers open. So we don't want to just deny it for the browser that's sending it, because then they can send as many messages as they have browsers open. So we want user ID here, so yeah. Otherwise it's not going to be as effective, but they can easily bypass it. So it's frozen error, you're doing too many things at once, which is how it should be. Let's read chat. Okay. Expected undefined to exist. So for some reason this is not adding. Weirdly. Okay. Dot has to be true. Can do it. User ID record with user ID added. It's lowercase. Okay, so that is not actually added in a minute. User ID, event name. Oh. The user ID is this. Not sure it should be that. Bit strange. Generate snowflake. It's generating a weird snowflake. That's for sure. So we want to do this before each in here. There we go. So given user, I don't know why it's taken me this long to figure out maths. But this user ID should not be this. I'm not sure how. I think that's the bug. Hold on a second. Back. So WS cooldowns active. So we're getting a user ID, creating it if it's null, and then we're pushing the event name timestamp, private add, and that's done there. If we remove prune, what happens? Okay, that's weird. Handle. Okay. Record bound handle. Record with user ID added. That's strange that that's not working. It is being called, but it's oh okay. How often is this function being called? This might be a different cooldowns. I need to check. So maybe we do this in after each and see what happens. I think it's being reset. Oh, that's strange. Well, that works. And if I say to be false, we're making sure the test library actually works. There we go. Okay, so we can refactor it handle. I mean, this isn't a bad function. So given handle, nothing. No. Given client ID, no. Message create. Adds cooldown. Well, we've already verified that it adds a cooldown. Record with user ID added. Yep. Handle, no cooldowns, no error. So these are going to be for integration tests right here. We've got 3 sets of tests. We might do a different one for... So we're going to use end-to-end. We've got a proper test framework here. So we've got a Big Mac test framework. We've got 3 layers of tests. There's a lot that can go wrong in a big project like this. And it does go wrong. Hi Yug. Greetings from India. Hi. What are you working on? So we're refactoring this with the more maintainable test structure. And hopefully you'll see why it's more maintainable. So given handle, no cooldowns, no error. Okay. Handle, no cooldowns, no error. So I'm just rewriting this. So given that, throw. IntelliSense is not working at the minute. To not throw. Okay. Okay, that should not return any. This should not return any here. That's a slight bug. Okay. Well, it's not really a bug. It's like a really mild bug, but it can cause inconvenience. The library is very simple. This is literally the test library. I'm going to show you it. See how dumb it is. This is it. It's just a refact. It's just like a simplification. It was a bit simpler, but I did add a few functions here. Yeah. So resolve. Resolve just means don't throw an error. Don't throw an async error. Again, if you want to see this, then github.com/accord.app. If you want to try this for yourself, it's here. But you don't have to. This is the basic gist of it. So you install it npm accord.app/ion. Instead of using npm, it installs from this repo right here. If you didn't know, you can install GitHub repos. So you type their username / something, and it installs in with npm. It's pretty good if you didn't know that. So you can rewrite this as this basically. There's a lot more to it than that. We don't need these messages. I want to see the messages. If we given null message create resolved. Assert undefined. Okay. Right. I don't know why I typed this twice. So handle exceeds max cooldowns. Now, for something like this, you'd need like an individual test. You can just throw that in if you want. You don't need a separate describe loop. I mean, the disadvantage is it's less consistent, but it's not really a problem. For me, anyway. So if you do it like 60 times, you want to execute this 60 times. Technically, we could like do this, but no, it's bad. So expect again, it's only like the first version of the test framework. I'm gonna add a bit to it. The test framework should be pretty easy to maintain. It's like a few lines of code, so I don't have to make an entirely new project. It's just like a sub project to Accord. It works with Accord. So cooldowns.handle to throw. Now this is async. This isn't async, sorry. So user ID, event name, which is message create. I mean, we can even use const event here, but I'm not going to do that. We don't need variables like that. I mean, we can even rewrite it like this. I know it does kind of ruin the flow, but eventually we'll find ways around that. So we can get rid of this gibberish. There we go. It's slightly better than before. Let's handle prunes old cooldowns. Okay. So something with a proper setup, like this. I think we can rewrite this like this. So given input so I think we can rewrite this with given, but I'm not sure. So given user ID and message create. Instead of using it would be good if we can just use assert, and then here we can set the cooldowns. Why not? All this is just a callback function which is executed. Yeah, this did take me an entire day to get it this simple. I was thinking of so many ways to write it. When I could have been writing tests. So assert, all assert does is it just calls a function. And then this function is called here, and it returns something. I think this returns a result. No, it doesn't. Oh, the result might not be there, so that's another thing. Again, I've only tested this on a small scale, so if I test this now, this is what happens. So it does work with, I made a find capital thing, so it does work with promises, like this. Can you test your website with glitch? I don't do glitch. What your VS Code theme? It's this one. Horizon theme. Okay. The result might not exist, by the way. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna quickly update the project here. No. PWD. PWD. Yep. Bash own. There we go. Maybe that will work. Yes, it worked. Okay. So this is the process. Let me unblank the screen. So I'm gonna update this. So let's say I want to update this library. Assert callback may have void value. Uh-oh, that was not intended. Okay. So cd get chown star index.lock what? Don't know what any of that means. Oh, there's just no hope, is there? sudo git add. We just use sudo because I made it on a different user. Sudo git commit m. Oh no! Don't do that. Please tell me who you are. So this is, I think this is the worst thing about Git, is they need to know who you are and they publicize your email. It's a privacy concern. It's like Facebook, but yeah. Dev. No. That's not my IP, by the way. That's Git's IP. GitHub. Public key. Could not read from the remote. Okay, let me just Google this. If in doubt, just Google it. Eight answers. That's weird. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, it is usually a lot more simple than this in most cases. Most of the time. That worked. I don't know why that worked. Don't know what that is. Push. Okay, we just pushed to dev. I literally don't know what's going on. Permission denied. Okay, well, it's a lost cause then. I'll just do it on later. Okay, so let's say we update this. Just have to do that for now, rather than in the stream. So there we go. Void is not assignable to type that. We're just gonna have to ignore that error for now. Okay, just ignore the red line. So we set the cooldowns. And we need a message for this to clear it up, because we don't actually know what's going on. And then we return, we just expect this to do that. There we go. I'm gonna set this to 2 to see if it works. Okay, so it failed successfully. There we go. Set it to 1. Okay, I think we need to return this. Yeah, there we go. So we return expect and it works. Apologies for the trying to git commit thing. It didn't work. How to compile source. So before you publish an npm package, you need to use tsc if you're using TypeScript. If you're using JavaScript, you're basically fine. You don't need to compile anything. So you set up your, let's say I wanted to make backend, wanted to compile backend. So you set up your ts config. These are my config settings. So for compilation, basically what you need is, you need an out directory. So where things go to, you need, so this one, this setting's important. And you also need, declaration true if you want types in the module. Recommend that one. I'm gonna add that. And Inline source map as well. Try that. And then all you do is you press TSC. Type TSC. And it starts compiling. If there's no errors, there's loads of errors with my code, so it's not going to compile anything. And then it makes a lib folder, and now you want to exclude the test folder because you don't want the test being shipped when you install it. It's a waste really. So that's going to change the lib folder, and when we recompile it again, if I've set it up correctly, it should emit the test folder. Yep, there we go. So there's no test folder, and the main file would be app.js. So that's the basics of converting TypeScript to JavaScript. So you can just run this as JavaScript. And for if you're publishing a TypeScript project as npm, which I'm doing with the Ion project, basically it handles it when you install it. When you install it, compiles. So you have to import JS so you can use it in JS projects. So I do that for that. Okay, that's just a demo. Hopefully that helps a bit. So bound handle. What? Am I doing this right? Okay, I'm just going to refactor this first. So handle exceeds max cooldowns for his error. So I've messed this up. So I just do this, and then I get rid of that. So message, that's the message here. Again, we're spending loads of time on this test. These tests are already tested. It's kind of a demo. I do spend time on silly things. There we go. But user ID, we also need that. So we want it to throw this error, but it's not going to throw it yet. We need to spam. We need to spam this basically. It's the objective here. So this is where the for I loop comes in, and we can just get it from here. Hold on a second. Not sure where it went. So we can get it from here. Nope. Here. So once we handle again, we want it for that error. So type error, you are doing too many things at once. To throw. Yeah, we want that to throw the error. Exceeds max cooldowns for his error. Type error. Yeah, that's what we want. Ah, I've messed that up. So we don't actually call it, because if we call it, then we're actually throwing the error within the function, and it's not going to like that, as you saw. So we're just executing this 60 times, and on the 61st time, it rate limits you. So this is the rate limiting for the WebSocket, which is the the main API for Accord. Yeah. So essentially, it makes Accord work behind the scenes, and without this function, you could easily crash the server by just spamming the WebSocket. So this is a very important function here and class, and that's why we're testing it. I think with assertion, it should return Boolean actually. Does it? What if I return this? Oh, that gives an error. Okay, I've coded that right. That's good. Let's read chat. Do you have Instagram? No. Okay. I have brought back some stream music from like 11 months ago, so some of the original stream music. Because I thought, why not? Right. Cannot read properties of then. Oh, resolve. Oh dear. Assert. Not to throw. Yeah, some of these I can simplify. So assert that it didn't throw an error. I think it's like that. Oh, it didn't return a result. Okay. Not sure why we have that test, but yeah. There we go. That's the test rewritten. Just as a demo. Let's see how many lines we saved. I did remove a test there, because I don't think it was the most useful test in the world. Not to throw. If it threw an error, then the other test would fail, so that's kind of a useless test. So this was 42 lines. 40 lines. Okay, so there's some simplification to be done, but it did save 2 lines of code. Not bad. Okay, that's could be better though. Okay, I'm gonna take a break now because I haven't eaten in many hours. Okay. So be right back. Thank you for watching this far. So far, in the stream, we've written 3 tests. Let's go. Okay. But, do they pass? That's the question. Yeah, they do. I hope so. Hi, Ravish. Okay, this is a really annoying problem, so I'll just have to do that on a different user. Okay, we're gonna rename these other tests so they run properly. Okay, let's run all these tests. I don't think they're all gonna pass, are they? Nope. Okay, I did change that. User test. Okay, so mock. We shouldn't use mock. That's integration test. Definitely shouldn't. So this shouldn't be a thing right here because we shouldn't unit test with integration test. If that makes sense. We shouldn't mix the two together, otherwise it becomes an integration test. Okay. Snowflake entity. I might have done something with that. What? Yeah, I just changed the folder. Ah! Okay. Snowflake entity, generate snowflake. Okay, so we got 2 functions here. So we got snowflake entity. I'm gonna use test here. So test, we're gonna refactor this, but much quicker. So I'm not gonna waste time now. So generate snowflake. So we're gonna test generate snowflake and plain functions. plain functions. Don't usually need like binding because they're not part of a class. So functions like this. So given get snowflake. So given generate given nothing, because we don't need anything to satisfy it. Not entirely sure that that's giving an error. It's not perfect yet, by the way. So given nothing, we don't have anything. Assert, if we do it again, 2 snowflakes don't match. There we go. That's our first assertion. We're just kind of not saving that many lines. We're just rewriting them differently, I suppose. Snowflake to date. Get date. We don't need to like write snowflake to date. We can just snowflake to date. Boom. Okay, so GMT, okay. So it's slightly off, like the timing. Like how much is it off? Oh, okay. Should be fairly similar. Okay, so we need to assert d2 string equals new data string. That will do. So they should be executed within the same second. There we go. So we've rewritten these tests. What do they used to look like? They used to look like this, which 31, 21. That's pretty good. Refactor snowflake entity tests. Okay. Now, if we get an invalid snowflake here, invalid snowflake, something's going to go wrong. Undefined. Okay, we need to expect. Hold on. New date. I mean, we could do new date, but that's not going to work. Because these are not equal, even though they're very similar. Because they're different milliseconds, give different dates. Cool. It's quite a long line, so we need to expect. Okay, I'm gonna add this function in a minute. Hold on. Okay, so how do I add a function to this? Well, all we need to do is we need to open ion. Now I'm going to try and get this to work. So I want to add a new function. So we're going to expect an error. So is prime. So here, given no number, so if not a number, so if is integer, number dot is nan num, then throw new type error. We're going to test it here. Given nothing, expect error. And we're going to say not a invalid number provided, but invalid number. Provided is more specific. And this should fail, because this should severely fail. npm run test, yeah. There we go. So this should severely fail, because it's not a function. Now if we go into main, and then we add expect error, all we do to throw, we expect it to throw, and we want the message, error message, which is a string. And then we expect error, return I guess this is throw. Not expect error, shall we say? So I'm gonna call this throw. Because it's more simple. There we go. So does that work? Not yet. Okay, so we want throw. Given nothing, throw this error. Given nothing, throw invalid. Expected false to be a function. Yeah, this should not be async, by the way. This is for a synchronous function. Some of these are synchronous, which means that they don't take time and they're not special integration test functions. Expected false to be a function. Right. False to be a function to throw error message. This is what we do when we're dealing with... Ah, okay. No num, or and if num equals undefined, double equals, so it could equal null. There we go. It could equal undefined. We've already done that. Could be an array. Bit random. Number is not a number, num. That's a word thing. Okay, we're not going to put an array in there anyway. 0, expect false. Expect false. Okay, there we go. And if we have true as a prime number, then we're going to get an error, which is, there we go. And this is the next version of the package. There we go. So add. Okay, this is where things go severely wrong. So add throw. Add throw error. Sync error thrown. And now, uh-oh, permission denied public key. What do we do? Apparently there's something, not entirely sure what that was, but we're gonna push dev now. That git log. Okay, so there's an issue on the actual, yeah. Well, okay, so what is the problem? 4 hours ago. Add main script. Add adamjr. So yeah, we can just yeet this at the server. False. Or we can type git fetch if we wanted to, and then we can type. I don't know why it says that. We're not behind, so I'll just throw it at them, which is the false command, and there we go. It should update in a minute, and when it updates, that is not what should have happened, by the way. Definitely something went wrong. Okay, well. Yeah, I'm not sure how that happened. Okay, well, I'm gonna add the throw, so it throws invalid snowflake. There we go. We're gonna have provided on the end. So theoretically that should pass when git works. Okay. I'm gonna have to end the stream here. Not an exciting stream at all, but progress. Not many streams left of this series, I don't think. I'd say like 5 more streams. So is this stream 37? Yeah. For this series until it's over, I suppose. So yeah. That was just a bit of testing, really. I need to go now, so yeah. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back soon.